Okay, the first thing that I want to mention is that I am using this in Numbers, but it is also available as an Excel file. So whether you're using a Mac or a PC, there is a compatible file for your computer. I will put a link in the description to both of those files so that you can find the appropriate one for you. So right here at the top, we have our tabs for all of our different categories. We're going to start here with the monthly income and allocations. So the first table is where you're going to track your gross revenue. The second table is where you're going to divide that into the allocations for each of your categories. So when we're talking about your revenue, this is everything that you bring in from every student. So say you have $1,000 in January. If you notice, as soon as I put that in, the allocations table changed. And that's because there's a formula in each of these cells that gives you a percentage of your revenue for the month. And it does match up. You can see that blue box up there. It lines up directly to the total revenue for the month. So this is just a sample. There's nothing permanent about this. If you don't want to have a separate profit account, you can just delete that line and add that percentage into another category. Let me show you an example just really quickly. If I just override that and make it 0, I now know that I have $40 left to put into a different category. So if I need more in my taxes, say, that was 4%, so I double click on it and we go from 10% to 14%, and now our operating total for the month is cleared out to 0 and it's completely balanced. Another way, I'm just going to undo all of that right now. Another way that you can track your income is, instead of doing the whole month in one lump sum, you can go by family. Just know that if you do that, you will have to change the location of this formula. So let me show you here. Say we have 3 families: the revenue family, the waterline family, and the banana family. Okay, so the revenue family pays you $500, the waterline family pays you $200, and the banana family pays you $300 per month. If you notice, everything changed in the bottom table, but only to match the revenue family. So here's how you change that. You're going to double click on it, and again, remember, this is in Numbers. It might work slightly differently in Excel. So first thing I'm going to do is total up my revenue for the month, and now we have $1,000 there. Then I'm going to go to my allocations and move this box from the top of the table to the total, and you'll see it says January annual total. That's because it's in the column of January, but this row here is the annual total because it's originally set up to not have anything but the actual annual total. But that's totally okay. You can have that extra line in there and it'll still work just fine. So then I hit enter and my profit has changed, and it now looks like I am over my income, but I'm not, because remember, the rest of these are set to the revenue, not to the monthly total. So then you would just go through and adjust all of these so that it matches the monthly total. Now, here's the cool thing about this, at least in Numbers, I should say. If I want to change all of these going across the whole month in the allocations table, all I have to do is hit copy, and you can see January annual total, 4%. I go to February, it says February revenue, 4%. I hit paste, and it automatically changes it for me. If I want to change the entire year, I can just paste all at once. And then we're just going to do a copy paste thing really quickly right here. Copy, so you can see everything that changes. And there you have it. The profit in February through December is at 0 because we did adjust that and we did not total every month. But if we do this, now every month is totaled and it's all switched over. So I'm going to undo these last few things that I did, and we're going to go back to the simple revenue as a solid monthly. There we go. All right, and we'll make sure that everything is the same. Excellent. Okay, so each of these allocation categories here has a matching tab at the top. The tabs and each of the pages in them work the same way, but what I'm going to do is show you how one of them works, and then we'll just glance through the rest of them. So let's jump over to operating expenses. You can see here that this just is set up like a bank ledger. So if you have a balance of $1,000 in your operating expenses, you would put that right at the very beginning for your starting balance on January 1st, and that automatically adds to the total for the year. So if we look at this first deposit on January 1st, it says $260. And if we come back to the monthly income and allocations and we look at the operating expenses, that's the same number. If we made $2,000 in January, that number would change in both places, 520, 520. That happens across the board for all of these. Every single sheet is connected to the income and allocations page. So now all you have to do is start adding in your expenses. So say on January 1st, I bought something from Amazon for $100. My total is automatically adjusted for that $100. Now, obviously, we all are going to have more than 2 expenses over the course of the month, but you can just add a line as you need. So let me show you how that's going to work, because you are going to have to do a little bit of formatting for your total balance to keep up with everything. So we're just going to add a row. We'll add 2 rows. We'll add 3 rows so you can see the differences here. So when I added a row above, it kept my total running, but when I added a row below, it left it blank. But here's something else I want you to see. When we're looking at the total from before I added any rows, we have a box above that's highlighted and then 2 boxes. This is the math formula that will keep your balance in check. So we always want to see this setup here, a box above and then 2 boxes to the left. If I go to the next one down, we have that correct. If I go to the next one down, we have nothing. If I go to the next one down, this is where the add a box above was. It bumps all the way back up. So what we need to do is go back to a place where we know that it's the correct formula, copy and paste, and then keep pasting all the way down until we see the same, there we go, the same setup. And now we're at the same setup. Okay, so that's it for the operating expenses. The personnel, owner's comp, profit, and taxes are all set up and they all work the same way. You have your starting balance, you have your allocation from the income and allocations sheet. I'll even show it to you over here and over here. And then whenever you pay yourself or pay one of your employees or purchase something, then you would just add it into this like you would into your bank ledger. There's one thing on the personnel expenses that I do want to show you, and that's the monthly totals. I'm sorry, there are 2 things, the monthly totals and the quarterly average. This has helped me greatly because my teachers don't always work the same number of hours each month based on our calendar. So say we have $600 and I pay teacher A 100, B 50, and teacher C 25. And then we do that again. But teacher C only gets paid $20 for that second check. I now know that my monthly average or my monthly total for January is $345. I'm just going to do a quick copy and paste here for February. And let's give February a little income here. There we go. So we have our income. It automatically changed from my little adjustment. And say teacher A earns $125, B earns $60, and C stays the same, but then A only earns, say, $40 because they were out sick for a day. and everything else stays the same for everybody else. Well, now that monthly average is $320, and that changes our quarterly average to $221. So this can help you budget for future months and future quarters based on what you're seeing your teachers earning over time. It does take a little time to kind of get used to that. If it's not something you care about, you don't have to worry about that. Just leave it alone or delete it, whatever you want to do. But that formula is there for your use. Okay, so now the last tab that we have is our P&L, and this is different than the budget. This is everything that you have already spent at the end of the month. So the first category we're going to do is the personnel expenses, and we're going to go back over here and see that in January we had $345 in teacher expenses, and in February we had $320. So that formula is automatically in there for you. Okay, the next is the operating expenses, and these are the ones that I use for my studio, but you can change them up as you need. I've inputted all of my supposed expenses for the month of January. It totals the category right at the bottom here, just like it totaled the category for the personnel expenses. And then at the very bottom, I have my total expense for the month, which is each of the categories, the personnel and the operating expenses. This last line here tells me whether or not I went over or under my budget for the month. Now, if you are the kind of person who will save over the course of several months for a large payment, that will happen sometimes, and that's okay. So say my insurance is $600 a year, but I've been saving $50 every month. In February, when I pay it, that will be $600, and I will be way over my February budget, but because I had put aside that money in previous months, it is available in my account. This is just showing you what you spent each month. It's not saying that you went over your allocations for the month. That's what this and all of these sheets are for.